Alright, so in this video what we're going to do is we are going to learn to make a card. The idea is that we're going to learn to make a print and place hinge, and we're going to learn how to embase the card. So this is actually going to take us through some of the things we've learned and how to apply them in a slightly different way. So let's get going on this. So I've got Fusion 360 already open, and we're going to design a part. So we're going to create and sketch. So I'm going to put a sketch right down here on my XZ plane. And I am going to start by making a center rectangle. And I'm going to start right there in the center. And my card, I'm going to start with making my hinge. So my hinge is going to be 150 tall, because that's going to be how tall my card is going to be. And I'm going to revolve my card to be 4. So that's how the diameter of my hinge is going to be. Okay. And remember, you can hit tabs to go back and forth between the X and Y's, or the heights and widths. Okay. And once you've got them, you can hit enter. Okay. Don't finish sketch yet, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to adjust our size of the hinges we want by measuring here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a construction line so that we can figure out where we want our gaps to make our hinges. So I'm going to make a little construction line, and this construction line can be started by over here under line type on your sketch palette. Make sure you click the little line here that says construction. Then you're going to go over here to line, and I'm going to start down here on the horizontal 0 axis, and I'm going to go up until I get to about 35. Okay, and notice I constrained it. Bingo. And so now I know that this line right here is 35. Okay, so this line right here is going to start my 35. All right. So now what I want to do is make sure I've made this a construction line. So when I click it, notice it's a little dotted. So notice I must not have clicked my construction line last time. It's solid. That means it's a real line. It exists. Construction line is really for reference or a measurement. Okay, so if it's dotted, it's not really there. Okay, and I wanted a construction line. Okay. All right. So now let's go draw an actual line. So let's make sure my construction line is off. Perfect. I'm going to go over here, and we're going to sketch starting on that 35 line. I'm going to draw a line in that is going to be about 1 meter. Okay. Then I'm going to draw another line in that I'm going to put at a 135-degree angle. And notice once I type in that 135 in, all I can do is change the length of this line. Okay, and I'm going to go down to about the 2 blocks, big blocks over from the point. Click again, and then I'm going to go over to the edge and click again. Excellent. All right. And hit enter, and now I've got my line. And I want these 2 lines, these 2 horizontal ones, I want them to be equal, because I want my hinge to be symmetrical. So I'm going to click the top one there, hold down the shift key, click the other one. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to constrain them to be equal. Okay, so now no matter what, this one and this one will be equal lengths. Okay, and to get out of that, you see the little equal sign is following my cursor around no matter where it goes. You hit the escape key. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to add another construction line here to my horizontal axis down here, because we're going to need this to be a mirror line. So I'm going to make sure I got my construction line on. I'm just going to draw a construction line down here. Boom. Okay, and I'll hit escape. All right, yep, see he's dotted. He's definitely a construction line. Perfect. Okay, now let's get out of my construction mode. All right, now what I want to do is I'm going to draw a box around my weird little shape here, and we're going to see why this is a weird little shape. Okay, and I'm going to do an offset. and I'm going to make my offset about 0.5 meters. All right, this is going to be a little gap that's going to serve as the little round inside knob of my hinge. All right, perfect. Now, instead of doing the same thing on the bottom part, what I can do is I can draw a box around that, and I can go up here to my mirror tool, and I'm going to select my construction line that I drew, and it's going to mirror it right on the bottom, and I'm going to click OK. So now I've got both of them, right? So that saved me a bit of time. Now I can finally finish my sketch. Perfect. Because now what I can do is I'm going to get rid of this construction line because I'm not going to need it anymore. I actually won't need that one anymore. I'm going to get rid of all of those. Perfect. So now I can take and I can highlight these different parts by holding down the Shift key. Right? And notice I've got my little gaps right in there. But now I can go up to Create and I can revolve. And I need to select an axis that I want to revolve around. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to click one of these ends. Boom! I've got an axis. And it's a new body, so I'm going to click OK. But notice, if I zoom in, right, there's my little connector point that's going to allow my hinge to spin. Right, kind of carved it out, right, due to that shape. Right, pretty cool. Okay. So now what I want to do is I need to make the panels right for my card. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to have the panels, since I'm going to want to print this flat, it's going to be right on the bottom. So it's going to be tangential to the bottom of this circle, to this face. So I know I made this 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a construction plane. So I'm going to create an offset plane. I started in my red-blue plane, so I'm going to pick that one. And I'm going to choose one that is -4 below it, because I made this 4 millimeters, if you remember at the start. So I'm going to click OK. And now I've got a plane that is right on the surface of, or tangential to my face right there. And it's on the bottom of this entire hinge. Perfect. So now I can create a new sketch on that plane. Excellent. Okay, so now let's zoom up here to the top. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, and I am going to create now another rectangle, a 2-point rectangle. I'm going to start here 2 blocks over, and I'm going to start drawing it, but I'm going to make my width be 100, and I know my height has to be 150 because that has to be the height of my plane, or my axis, because my axis was 150 for my hinges. All right, I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. 2 blocks over. All right, 100 and 150. Hit enter. All right, looks right. Okay, I could have drawn it and put another construction plane right in the middle and mirrored it, but this works just as well. Okay, so yeah, things look pretty good. Looks like I got the heights right. Excellent. All right, so now I can finish that sketch. Perfect. All right, so now I'm going to extrude these guys. Let's extrude them 4. That one and that one. All right, perfect. I'm going to do new bodies for both of these. Perfect. All right, now notice a problem is I've got a gap. This isn't much of a card, right? I've kind of got 3 different things going on here. So what I want to do is I want to connect these 2 card pieces to my hinge. What I'm going to do first, though, is I'm going to hide this middle body right here. So I'm going to go over here to my browser. I am going to hide the body. There it is. It's body 1. So it's now gone. As far as Fusion knows, because I've hidden it, right? I just clicked the eyeball off. Okay, so now let's move around here. I'm going to take that face on that block and I'm going to extrude it. Now, so far we've only been extruding the distance, but you can extrude to an object. And the object this time is that cylinder. Notice it extrudes it and it wraps it around to the shape of that cylinder. Okay, so that's the accent type 2 object. We're going to join it because I want this body to be attached to this cylinder, because that's what's going to allow it to move with the hinge. So we're going to click OK. Look at that. And notice it curved all the way up and down, because this and this is the same body. Right? This piece and this piece. Now we've got this middle piece, and what I want to do is I'm going to push that in a little bit to make sure that that middle piece doesn't fuse to that, because that middle piece, this one here in the middle, is going to be attached to this other one over here, so this piece can move. So we're going to click that face. I'm going to go over here to press pull, and I'm going to put in a negative 0.5. Excellent. Awesome. There we go. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so this time I'm going to hide all of this body, and I'm going to basically do the same thing. Alright, I'm going to hit this face here. I'm going to extrude it. I'm going to do the accent type to object. I'm going to pick my cylinder. Notice it curves it again. Okay, this time I've got to do join. Everything looks good. Click OK. But this time I've got to do the press pull on these two guys. Minus 0.5. Click OK. And then I've got to do press pull on the top one for also a minus 0.5, because that's going to allow the hinges to move. All right, so now let's look at this. Awesome. All right, so see these little gaps right here? That's going to allow my hinge to move. All right, and let's double check it. So what you can do in Fusion is you can do an inspection analysis. So let's go up here to inspect, and I'm going to go to section analysis. I'm going to pick the plane that I want to inspect. Let me circle around here. Perfect. Okay, so see this gap right here that's circling through? This is how my book is going to fold, or my card is going to fold. See the curve? It'll fold right over just like a normal greeting card, something like that. All right, and right, nothing seems to be touching. All right, it looks pretty good, right? Looks good from below, right? Looks good from below. All right, so the printer should have no problem printing this. To get out of this view, I can hit escape. Okay, excellent. All right, I'm going to go home. Okay, so I'm going to rotate here just a little bit here around, because I want to put some text on this card. All right, so let's go to create. We're going to create sketch, and I'm going to put text on the face of the card. So I'm going to click on that. So this becomes my sketch surface. So then I'm going to go to create text. Let's draw a rectangle for where I want my text to be. I'm going to say happy birthday. And this is to Iron. Let's move up one. Iron Man. May you never get magnets in your boots. Perfect. Now let's click OK. And I'm going to go to create, and oh, I'm sorry, I got to finish the sketch. Yep. Then I'm going to go to create, and then I'm going to go to emboss. And I can either emboss it, which means the text is going to be raised, or I'm going to deboss it, which means it's going to be embedded into the print or into the card. And I'm going to go with that one, so I'm going to deboss it. And so I need to click my sketch profile, which is the words I just typed. The face is the board I did. All right. And I can move it. So I'm going to move it, let's say, -2 millimeters. I don't want to move it -20. That's going to move it off the card. So -2.0. Yeah, that's why it gave me the error down there. Maybe -4. Put it a little bit more toward the center. Yeah, I think I like that a little better. Maybe -5. Okay, perfect. I like the vertical distance, so let's click OK. Here we are, embedded. Awesome. Now let's put a picture or something on the other side. So I'm going to go over here to insert. You can only insert SVG files. So let's go insert something from my computer. Let's go to downloads. What do I want to insert? Let's go with the BC logo. So we're going to go Boston College. You're going to pick the plane that you want to insert it on. So I'm going to insert it on the surface of the left side of the card. And Fusion is, yeah, okay on inserting graphics. So it pops up this little placement window here. So you have to spin it around. All right, and then it's got this little cube here or square. Then you can move it to where you want. So I'm going to kind of place it up here, kind of where I want it to be. Let's say, yeah, let's go with that. Once you get it where you want it, you can also use these arrows to move it up and down. And in the insert, you also have X, Y, and placements. So where you can place it, and you can also scale it where you can make it a little bit bigger if you want it to. All right, so you can make it a little bigger. Okay, so yeah, that all looks pretty good, and I'm going to click OK. All right, so now let's emboss this guy. So I think I want that embossed. Okay, let's see how that looks. So I'm going to, let's finish the sketch. Okay, so now let's see, yep, so let's go with the B, C, and the eagle for the embossing. Okay, and actually I think I might try to go, can I get the outside text embossed or this outside line embossed? I think I might try that. Okay, so let's see if we can do that. So let's go to Create, Emboss. I've got my sketch selected, plate selected, 1.5. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so it didn't do my line on the outside, which is fine. Perfect. Yeah, I think I'll go with that. Awesome. All right, so now I've got my BC, Happy Birthday Iron Man. And I think I am good with that. So you could put something else down here, more text, another SVG file, you know, something like that is how you would emboss on the card. And this will print in place as is. So what we can do is I can go to File. I can export this. I'm going to export this as Iron Man BC card. It's going to go to my download. So let's export this. All right, it says it's exported up here. So then I can go to Bamboo Studio. Let's prepare. I'm going to go to File, New Project. I don't want to save that. All right. Perfect. So now I'm going to go to File, Import my STL. Downloads. Here's my card. Open. All right, notice it imports it vertically. You don't want to print it that way. In Bamboo Studio, it's got an auto-oriented. All right, so I'm going to click that, and notice it lays it flat. And now we can print it. All right, which is kind of cool. I'll pick my printer, X1 carbon, and I can go up and I can slice my plate and print. And you have a card. It's pretty cool.